Picture this. You've just made a mistake at work or in your personal life, and the first thing you do is berate yourself, calling yourself names and questioning your worth. Sound familiar? If so, you're not alone. Many of us face this harsh inner critic daily, feeling like we're never good enough despite our achievements. But what if I told you that the secret to true happiness and self-love lies in breaking free from these limiting beliefs? Imagine a life where you embrace your flaws and mistakes as stepping stones to greatness, just like the most successful people in history and the timeless wisdom of Buddhism teach us. In this video, we'll explore transformative insights and practices that will help you stop hating yourself and start living a life filled with self-compassion and joy. What if I told you that finding peace within ourselves requires understanding a fundamental truth about life and suffering? Let's explore this through an ancient story from Buddhist tradition, the story of Kissa Gotami and the mustard seed. In a small village in ancient India, there lived a young woman named Kissa Gotami. She was married and had a beautiful baby boy. Her life seemed perfect until tragedy struck, and her beloved son fell ill and died. Kissa Gotami was devastated and refused to accept her son's death. In her grief, she carried her son's lifeless body from house to house, asking if anyone could bring him back to life. The turning point. Seeing her desperation, the villagers suggested she visit the Buddha, who was residing in a nearby monastery. They believed that if anyone could help her, it would be him. Clinging to the hope that the Buddha could revive her son, Kissa Gotami rushed to the monastery. When she found the Buddha, she tearfully pleaded for his help. The Buddha listened patiently and then made a simple request. "Fetch me a mustard seed from a household that has never known death, and I will bring your son back to life." Filled with renewed hope, Kissa Gotami went from house to house, asking for a mustard seed. But each household she visited had experienced the death of a loved one. Some had lost parents, others had lost children or siblings. As she listened to their stories of loss and grief, Kissa Gotami began to realize that death is a part of life and that suffering is universal. Returning to the Buddha, she understood the profound lesson he had taught her. She buried her son and returned to the Buddha to thank him. Through this experience, she gained a deeper understanding of the nature of life and death, and was able to find peace and acceptance. This story of Kissa Gotami and the mustard seed teaches us about the universality of suffering and the importance of acceptance. It resonates with the themes of the script by illustrating that self-love and acceptance come from understanding and embracing our shared human experience. Just as Kissa Gotami learned to let go of her grief and find peace, we too can learn to overcome self-criticism and embrace our imperfections, finding kindness and love for ourselves and others. Do not believe in labels. We often label ourselves based on our imperfections, mistakes, or perceived shortcomings. These labels become ingrained in our identity, shaping how we see ourselves. However, it's crucial to understand that these labels are just thought patterns and can be changed. We should not define ourselves solely by our weaknesses or mistakes. Instead, we should recognize that we always have the chance to improve and evolve. To expand on this, consider the story of Thomas Edison. Known for inventing the light bulb, Edison failed over 1,000 times before achieving success. If Edison had labeled himself as a failure after his initial setbacks, he might never have succeeded. Instead, he viewed each failure as a step closer to success. Similarly, in Buddhism, we are taught that our thoughts and beliefs shape our reality. By changing negative thought patterns, we can transform our self-perception and life experiences. Learn to accept mistakes. Mistakes are proof that we are trying in life and refusing to give up on ourselves. Every great person in this world has made mistakes and learned from them. It is through these mistakes that they have evolved and achieved greatness. Remember, mistakes do not define your character unless you allow them to. Embrace them as opportunities for growth and self-improvement. In Buddhism, the concept of upaya, skillful means, emphasizes the importance of learning from our experiences, including our mistakes. This principle encourages us to view mistakes as valuable lessons rather than as reflections of our worth. By accepting our mistakes, we cultivate a growth mindset, which is essential for personal development and self-love. Buddha's story of the wise quail. In one of the Jataka tales, the Buddha in a previous life was born as a wise quail. One day, a hunter set a trap to catch the quail. Many quails were caught, but the wise quail, noticing the trap, guided the others to work together to escape. Initially, some quails made mistakes and got caught, but the wise quail encouraged them not to give up. Eventually, by learning from their mistakes and working together, they managed to avoid the trap and live in peace. This story teaches us that mistakes are part of the learning process. By accepting and learning from them, we can grow stronger and wiser. The wise quail's persistence and ability to see mistakes as learning opportunities resonate with the Buddhist principle of upaya, reminding us to approach our errors with a mindset of growth and improvement. Stop criticism. Criticism, especially negative criticism, can be detrimental to our self-love and self-worth. When we criticize others, we subconsciously elevate ourselves and set unrealistic standards. When we fail to meet these standards, we end up hating ourselves. Instead, let go of the habit of criticizing others and yourself. Embrace constructive criticism, but avoid negative criticism that undermines your self-value. Principle of right speech. Buddha taught the importance of right speech, which involves speaking truthfully, kindly, and beneficially. Applying this principle to our inner dialogue means replacing harsh self-criticism with compassionate self-talk. When we speak to ourselves with kindness and understanding, we create a supportive internal environment that fosters self-love and acceptance. Right speech encourages us to avoid harmful language and instead use words that heal and uplift. The impact of self-criticism. Negative self-criticism often stems from a desire for perfection and a fear of not being good enough. This inner critic can be relentless, leading to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. However, by practicing mindfulness and recognizing these patterns, we can begin to shift our perspective. Instead of seeing ourselves through the lens of our failures and shortcomings, we can focus on our strengths and the progress we've made. In Buddhism, mindfulness, samasati, plays a crucial role in transforming our inner dialogue. Mindfulness involves being present and aware of our thoughts and emotions without judgment. By cultivating mindfulness, we can observe our self-critical thoughts without getting caught up in them, allowing us to respond with compassion and understanding. Believe that imperfection is beautiful. Take a moment to observe nature. From the smallest plant to the grandest mountain, everything has imperfections. As humans, we are also imperfect beings. Embracing our imperfections allows us to evolve and become more productive and successful. Success and happiness are not destinations but ongoing journeys. Accepting our imperfections enables us to focus our kindness and love towards ourselves. Concept of dukkha. In Buddhism, the concept of dukkha, suffering, acknowledges that life is inherently imperfect. Dukkha refers to the unsatisfactoriness and discomfort that comes with life's inherent impermanence and imperfection. Rather than resisting these imperfections, we are encouraged to accept them with equanimity. This acceptance is not passive resignation, but a recognition that imperfections are a natural part of life. Story of the cracked pot. An Indian parable tells the story of a water-bearer who carried 2 pots to the river each day, one of which had a crack. While the perfect pot always delivered a full portion of water, the cracked pot arrived only half full. Feeling inadequate, Cracked Pot apologized to the water-bearer for its flaws. The water-bearer, however, pointed out the flowers growing on the side of the path, watered by the cracked pot's leaks. The cracked pot's imperfections had brought beauty to the world. This story beautifully illustrates how our flaws and imperfections can have unexpected benefits and contributions. It teaches us that perfection is not necessary for value, and that our unique qualities, even those we perceive as shortcomings, can enrich our lives and the lives of others. Embracing imperfections for growth. Embracing our imperfections allows us to live more authentically and cultivate deeper self-compassion. When we accept our flaws, we free ourselves from the unrealistic expectation of perfection and open ourselves to growth and learning. This mindset is essential for personal development and happiness. In Buddhism, the practice of metta, loving kindness, encourages us to extend love and compassion to ourselves and others. Metta meditation involves repeating phrases such as, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be free from suffering." This practice helps cultivate a compassionate attitude towards our imperfections and those of others. By integrating these Buddhist teachings and inspirational stories into our lives, we can begin to see ourselves in a new light. We can break free from negative labels and embrace our mistakes as essential steps on our journey to self-improvement and self-love. Remember, self-love is not about being perfect. It's about accepting ourselves as we are and recognizing our potential to grow and evolve. Criticism, both self-directed and towards others, can undermine our self-worth and happiness. By practicing right speech and compassionate self-talk, we can create a supportive inner environment that fosters self-love. Additionally, embracing our imperfections and viewing them as opportunities for growth allows us to live more authentically and harmoniously. Incorporating these practices into our daily lives can lead to a more fulfilling and balanced existence. Each day, remind yourself that no matter how imperfect you may be or the mistakes you make, you are deserving of love and kindness. Commit to becoming a better, happier person by embracing self-love and watching as your life becomes filled with happiness and fulfillment.